New York and on the new Hot 97 app. Ebro in the morning on Hot 97.
T-Bro in the morning. Laura Styles is here. Rosenberg had to run to his Complex program.
That's right.
But, in return, we get somebody from Complex with a new show. Karen Civil on the program right now. Complex Network just last week launched your new show.
Yes, Good Looking Out.
And now, the last time you and I spoke, we jumped on the phone just because I wanted to have dialogue with you about politics, a lot of the conversations happening, a lot of the political planning happening for midterm elections, which, I have those conversations a little bit on the air, but a lot behind the scenes. You were very involved a year ago, 2 years ago, with Hillary's campaign.
Yeah, I definitely was. And, just like a lot of America thought, I thought we were going to win. And I projected what my life was going to be in the next 2-3 years. And unfortunately, we didn't. And I had to take a step back, to regroup, kind of restructure, because it was a very emotional time. It was my birthday too. And I was just all in. And we didn't. But yeah, I took some time off and I just want to get back in that mind frame, just doing some more stuff in politics, but just better educating myself.
In retrospect, right? What did you learn about, not only about politics, but also about where America is and being that much on the front lines with such a cultural letdown moment for women, for, voters, for, people who are like the Electoral College is a sham and she won the popular election, but still we got to deal with this scumbag, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah,
it definitely, it opened my eyes because I thought women were for her, young millennials. Come to find out, some of his biggest draw for Trump was women. It was like white women didn't understand her. They didn't vote for her, and I never really looked after it was over and I was seeing people's excuses and things. I never really saw that with her, and just all the things that they were saying why they didn't vote for her, XYZ. It was alarming. And I think with her, it was more of like a personal thing. It's not she couldn't do the job. They just necessarily didn't like her.
But it's crazy because I felt the same way. I remember when she was doing her final speech, and it was like people were like tearing up. But it was a really interesting moment as a woman because it's like we thought that we had progressed and we have been we already
because
have
we've
moved.
had Obama for 8 years and we saw this change and we thought the world wanted to continue in that direction and she wanted to continue Obama's legacy, but America obviously didn't want that.
It was really like a slap in the face when every single time that I read women attacking her just for being a woman.
They thought she couldn't do the job. And even when she gave that last speech, so many people was like, why wasn't she always this vulnerable? Why didn't she do this? And I'm like, what? She always gave you a great speech. You just didn't want to hear it out the mouth of the person it was coming from.
Well, you said the word vulnerable, right? And I mean, you guys obviously being women can speak more to this. I've only heard women speak about it, right? I would hear my mom speak about it in the house where, to be a woman doing a job, right? Women want to see you be this emotional creature, not just a human being doing a job.
Yeah.
Is that what people mean when they say, why wasn't she this vulnerable when... Because it's not like dudes get up there and they're, talking about their personal life and pains and struggles. And men get up there, they talk about the job that they're going to do.
Yeah.
This is how I'm going to go about doing the job. These are my plans. This is what I'm passionate about. And that's it.
People set these different expectations for her. And they expected her to just show this side, do this. And she had to do more than, no offense, Trump would go up there and he wasn't really saying anything. He had a few cute slogans, say what you kind of want to hear, but it just was a bunch of fluff. And, people just went off of, okay, this was a great businessman, and that's just what we love. He's a businessman. He's going to help jobs, make America great. That worked in his favor, that little slogan. And people just went off of that. But just being a woman in this industry, you get that where it's just a guy can come in, be a certain way, be assertive, be whatever. But like when we come in, it's like if you speak with assertiveness, they call it being a bitch.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
They call it being a bitch. Why you got an attitude? Why you no, I'm speaking with conviction just like the next person. Like I'm speaking with passion. Why don't you use those words with me that you do my male counterpart?
And if she would have been vulnerable, they would have been like, I don't want anybody
she's crying
to be the leader of the free world that's going to make emotional decisions.
Yeah.
You don't win.
Yeah, it was like a no win-win situation for her at just looking at it now, but she did everything she was supposed to.
And also for the audience, you know, and any MAGA maniacs watching this, you know, Trump didn't win the popular election. Mm-hmm. He strategically won certain places so that he won the Electoral College. Mm-hmm. And yes, there was obviously the thing you guys are talking about with a lot of women surprisingly supporting Trump. Do you feel like, and just, I'm sure you still pay attention to politics, right? Because you had invested so much of your life in it. Do you feel like people are getting what they wanted from Trump?
No. You know, a lot of the things that he guaranteed and people are just like, oh, he's making it great. Oh, and, you know, he just throws those fluff pieces out there that people run with, which is he'll just, oh, we saved 1,000 jobs today and X, Y, Z. And it's not even factual information. It's just, I don't know where he gets the stuff from. He just says it and people will run with it. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah. Because it makes them feel good about the choice that they made.
Right.
So it just, they're like, I don't want to be wrong. So we're just going to find any reason to just still stick by this person. But you'll see the stories come out like, oh, I should have never voted for him. This, that. And I'm like, I can't help you. Like, you know, it's just like when the DACA situation and stuff happened, it was Haitians for Trump. And these are the same people afterwards emailing me like, oh, you know, he's not renewing XYZ. I'm like, okay, what you telling me for, sis? Like, you voted for him.
It's
like,
true. The same thing with Latinos for Trump.
Yeah,
the same
like
thing
you voted for him. Like you wanted this man here, and now you're looking to me to use my platform and help you become a savior. Like, no, I'm gonna go home. Like, we gotta go home.
Yeah. Do you plan on doing more political stuff? I mean, you have the show on Complex, which premiered last week. Do you guys get into politics at all on the program?
The first 6 episodes, no. It's focused more on entrepreneurship. It's nobody who wants to be like in the political field, but eventually I would like to. I still have great dialogue with Tiara, who worked with Hillary's campaign, figuring out what's next. But I still want to get back into that. I took some time off because it was very emotional for me, because I put a lot of like my energy and time into that, and then just, you know, it's just if you invest in anything and nothing comes from it, so it's just like I had to take some time back emotionally to just like recuperate from what happened, because it was a big moment for me.
You started your it was Live Civil brand, right? Is that what it was? And then, you know, obviously you've become a brand unto yourself. Positioning yourself in this new program where you're bringing light to other entrepreneurs, right? Yeah. And what happens? You're bringing light to what they're doing, and then it's just about highlighting their brands, or are you guys having a greater conversation?
It's a greater conversation. It's taking their brands, somebody that's an expert in their field, them coming on, just giving them a diagnosis of just like, how are you marketing it? What are you doing? Things to make it better. And depending on, like, because I don't want anyone to feel like they have to do anything. Like for this week's episode, we have Kevin Liles, and it was a gentleman who was a rapper from New Jersey. And for instance, with that, it's like, if you're good, last person who came out of Jersey, Kevin Liles signed, which was Fetty Wap. You know, you never know what could happen on the show. So for our first episode, we had Gary Vee and Ryan Leslie. Ryan Leslie connected with the kids afterwards because he wanted to figure out a way to invest. Gary Vee, I believe, is doing a mentorship with one of the young ladies. So it's an opportunity there. But the thing is, the guest doesn't know who's going to be there. Like, we don't give them no ahead time, no nothing. It's just, you have to come with your A game. As soon as you walk in that room, they see us.
Oh,
and it's
that's
like,
dope.
You have to pitch your idea, and you have to be, they'll see the lights, they come in, I'm like, don't get distracted by the lights. That's the whole purpose of it. We don't want you to get distracted by the lights.
This is elevator pitch. This is the moment. This is it.
Yes. So it's just, don't get distracted by the lights. Don't get distracted by who's sitting in front of you. You know, a lot of them get very emotional. They're like, oh, wait, I didn't know it was going to be like this. I'm like, listen, it's fourth quarter. You going to give us LeBron or not? So, yeah. So they have to be fully prepared, and each episode is different. This week we had he got a bit emotional because I don't think he didn't think Kevin Liles was going to be there.
Right.
So he got a bit emotional. I don't think he was fully prepared. But every week it's a bit different, and it's exciting to see like the outcome of it. And
how often? I mean, you know, you're somebody we've watched grow since an intern here.
Yes.
And you know, we've loved every minute of it, right? As fans of you, as people have known you, you know, we've watched it. What is it that you could give advice to a young person to not become emotional in that moment? Or is that just a personality trait, right? Because not everybody's prepared for prime time. And I tell artists, you know, people want to be on the radio all the time.
Yeah.
Right? If not everybody's ready for prime time.
Listen, that is true. But if this is something that you really want, And this is like, you prepared yourself for it. It's just like, I don't care. I'm a very timid and quiet person, and I'm an introvert. But when it comes down to my business or work, I got to turn it on. So it's the same thing. It's like, this is a shot. You know, these people are here. And I just look at everything like, this is fourth quarter. Are you going to make the game-winning shot or not? Do you want to win or don't you? So I just look at it like that. And I hope, you know, other people do too. And they take it as serious. If you want people to take you serious, you have to take yourself serious.
But it's the truth. We've all faced that in our career. There's a time where we were challenged and we really had to step up and show and prove. And it was a time where it kind of like it dictated where our life was going to go. So that's what I like about it. I think that people say they want things, right? But when they're presented with the opportunity, what are you going to do?
Yeah, it's like, do you really want it? So with these contestants, you see that like they can talk a good game. They're on the camera outside like, yeah, I'm ready. I was born for this. And then they walk in there like, I'm just coming humble beginnings. I'm like, that's not the energy you had out
keep
there.
The same energy,
keep the same energy.
That same energy.
So
I love that.
Yeah, so it's interesting to see how it unfolds. But again, I really love the premise of the show because it's to help the next entrepreneur. We're not like belittling them. We're not making them feel bad or like judging them, laughing at them. We're really there to help them. And that's just really what I love about it.
What was in the last couple years you've had some of your past business experiences put on blast, right? You've dealt with some of that. Some of your personal life put on blast. You've dealt with that. You just talked about the Hillary letdown, right? Now I'd love to hear from you kind of like dusting yourself off or dealing, you know what I mean? Because I think over the last couple years, your brand got so big, right? Yeah. You've become a staple, right? Yeah. You're helping artists. I mean, you launched social media business consult. Like you've done a lot. You're like an OG to a lot of people, right? Talk about dusting yourself off and those moments where you feel like the world's coming down on you.
Yeah, it definitely, as you know, it's a good and bad with the internet. When you get on it, it's just like when I first started, your personal business is not out there as much. Now people can just go Instagram and tweet and say something, and people take it, you know, at face value, just, oh, that must be the truth. And there was a lot of things I look at it like I can go back and forth. I can continue to speak on it, but I'm not. I'm going to focus on my business. While I have this attention on me, whether it's a good light or bad light, it's how I take the situation, how I move forward. Because a lot of times I have to tell myself, I'm like, Karen, you're bigger than this situation. You're bigger than this argument. Do you want to just stay in this place or you want to continue growing? Because a lot of things that were happening didn't really affect my business. It didn't stop me from what I was doing. It didn't hurt my personal life. Anybody who took it for what they were saying or whatnot, they didn't need to be in my circle anyway. Because people who worked with me know how I've dealt with things and how I've done things. And, you know, just sometimes people just know the importance of how social media built you. They think, oh, I can go use social media to break her. Like, no, I'm still here. I'm still making it work. And, you know, it's a good and bad with everything. But, you know, I have my days where I'm like, what the F? Like, oh my God.
It's really interesting because when I see someone like Karen, right? Karen is, everything that I see about Karen is positive, right? She's always working, whether if it's, you know, help with her foundations or it's always some type of elevation.
Yeah.
I think when I saw people trying to come for your character and bring personal stuff, it was almost, the sick part was almost as that if they've been waiting for it.
Yeah.
She's too perfect. She has this perfect persona,
and
online
That's
persona.
the thing is like, I'm not trying to push perfect. I'm just trying, I don't necessarily, like there was a point where I did have my personal life on there and now I just take it back. I just show you what I want to show you, and it's just, I've crafted what I want you to see. And that's the great thing about social. You let people in. Yeah. You give them a sneak preview of your life. You let them know what they want to know about you and things like that and what you're comfortable with. So that's just who I am. I just give you the business aspect, inspiration and certain things. So when stuff started to happen, it was like, oh, they found joy in it. But then at the same time, I'm like, my success is not your failure. So me failing doesn't help you grow in any way. I'm not understanding what the satisfaction is, but it's just like, I was like, if it works for you, if you feel better about yourself, I'm still going to cut this check. I'm still going to host these events. I'm still going to be all right 2 days from now. You know how it's a turnover.
Have Cameron or any of those people ever reached out to you after any of these things? Have you ran into any of these individuals?
No, I don't really have a relationship with Cameron. Me and Duke still have a relationship.
Got it.
And to me, that's really, because I never really talk with him like that. So it's just like I worked with Duke. So me and him are still great. I still talk to like Adrian, who's there. So it's like really the core team. We still have a great relationship.
I saw you were very vocal about the Kanye situation.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed Karen just being blunt and to the point.
I'm like, come on, man. Like, you was sending Obama shoes. You was doing all these things. But it's like when you have a platform this big, and I love Kanye. And I'm like, damn,
we all
man.
do.
And I was tweeting with my Yeezys on. I was like, just make it like you giving us primetime shoes. You're doing all these things. And I'm like, it's one thing to feel like this, but it's just like he didn't really know what to feel. And he was just copying and pasting what people were saying and other things. And I'm like, if these are your true feelings, that's cool. But these aren't even your feelings. If you just want to come back on social, I was like, is this a way just to come back on social and just create noise? But I just think he should have just better used utilized his platform. If you want to be for Trump, we already knew that because he had the meeting and they're like, oh, we're going to, this is when he had that Black Week.
Right.
He had like every Black person come in and fake take pictures with him and do all this stuff and nothing came from it because we knew better. So it's like we already knew there was a relationship there. And but it just was like, come on, just drop the album dates. Give us the sneaker preview. Tell us you love your wife. Like what we just know you for. I was like, why are you doing all of this? Like, why are you like embodying this and taking all of this in? Like, you're better than this.
I think it's a bit of a purge as we've distanced ourselves from the shock of a MAGA hat and, him aligning himself with people who align themselves with white supremacist groups.
Yeah.
And organized for white supremacy. I think it was that initial shock of all of us being like, fam, you going far.
Yeah.
Like it's like I told him straight up, you was cooning when you was in the lobby with Donald Trump. That's cooning for cash. I get what that is.
The Confederate flag when he was like, oh, I'm trying to take it back. And I'm like, I'm not putting this on my clothes.
Yeah,
I'm not
I wasn't wearing
this.
it.
I was like, I'm not doing this. Like, I don't care how you try to switch it up. So when the Trump tweets came, it was just, I think he was already getting us used to.
But I think in some ways it was a purge too, right? As you said, I think he's confused.
Yeah.
Right? I think he's, he has people in his Calabasas circle and his family circle, right, who are Republicans and are trying to have discussions around how Black people should feel.
Yeah.
And that's the first mistake, right?
Yeah.
When people who are not of a group are telling a group or trying to engage without people from that group on how they should feel about historical and painful events.
Yeah.
Right? That's mistake number one. And I think that he's kind of, because he doesn't express himself well unless it's in a music form, which can be edited and pre-recorded, he's trying to purge as much information out of his system and replace it with new information kind of at the same time. And we got to see it live, and it wasn't pretty.
It wasn't at all, especially, I worked with Pusha T on Hillary stuff. He was a large part of that, helping with prison reform. So it was just weird because I'm like, bro, like what is he doing? Like, even Kim did some stuff with Hillary, like some fundraisers and stuff like that. That's why I was just so taken. I was just confused as to like, why are you going over there?
It's free thinking, Karen.
Yeah.
You're just not a free thinker. That's the problem.
It was also interesting though to see how many people
just regurgitated nonsense to me. He was just tweeting. I'm like, come on.
But I appreciated Karen because she refused to get stuck with a group of people who just didn't want to. They wanted to make sure they didn't shit on Kanye to keep that relationship. They didn't want to be completely honest. Very few people stepped out and were really honest about how they felt, though.
Even right now, there are artists who don't agree with Kanye, but might want a Kanye beat.
Yeah, so it's hard because you're like, all right, I don't necessarily like their stance, but that's with a lot of things. We may not like the stance. There are people that I probably have in my circle who voted for Trump, who just probably not saying anything to me. I still will associate with them, and I'm like, we'll still have a relationship, but that's their views. So maybe artists are looking at it the same way. So I don't.
Yeah, but you can publicly, if somebody has a public opinion that I know.
Yeah, same way
and that
Kanye
I care about, right? I care about Kanye, and I'm going to support Kanye's music. I didn't go on a boycott Kanye.
Yeah.
Right? His music comes out, he's a part of hip hop, right?
Yeah.
We play records in hip hop.
Yeah.
We don't play records based on somebody's political perspective. He puts out a record, I'm going to play it.
Yeah.
Right? It's Kanye West. He's earned that right? But that doesn't mean I have to agree with you politically.
Yeah, that's true. And with him, I just didn't. I still think he's like a fashion icon. He's a great businessman. He's brought us a lot of things. But just in this avenue, I was like, I can't get with you behind this. Like, I'm not doing this. I'm not riding this train. I'm not like, oh my God, free thinker, yes. Like, no. I'm going to take these Yeezys off and wear these Pharrells for a little bit. I was like, yo, let me go back to these.
You know, and then a greater conversation even around like the concept of free thought, right? And whatever that means to whomever's saying it at the time. Because people conveniently like to call themselves free thinkers while they're aligning themselves with a specific group, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, are you thinking freely, or are you just thinking like those people want you to think and become a tool for that?
I think with a lot of things, people were just for self. Like, you know, just when it comes to politics, like what's best for me, not what's best for our community. Like when I got behind Hillary, I wasn't thinking like, because I know I'm at a certain tax bracket, certain things. So it's just like, I'm not going to be affected with certain common things like the normal person.
Right.
So I had to look at that like, I'm looking at the greater good for the United States and just women's rights and equality and just healthcare and prison reform and everything else like that. Even though it's not a troubling issue for me and I'm okay, but it's bigger than me. Now it's just a lot of these people, you know, that's what I just thought the Trump and Kanye thing, it was for self. It's like, okay, he's a great businessman, I'm a businessman. I'm like, but what about the rest of the world who doesn't live like you, who's not in Calabasas, who's in the country.
Absolutely.
Who, you know, their parents migrated here, who can't find a job, who's being let off, who doesn't have health insurance, you know, who can't feed their family. You're taking away welfare and sending them boxes of stale food. Like, these are the conversations. These are the people that really need you to step up and use your platform for them. Like, you're going to be great regardless. You're not really going to feel anything.
Right.
You know? But you just got to think about the people that it really affects.
When you were working with Hillary, how did because I thought of you when I remember when you were working with Hillary. How did the Haitian community react to you working for Hillary? Because, you know, obviously we know the history
with the Clinton
Foundations. Yeah.
It was like a good and a bad. Like, they were mad. Like, oh, I can't believe you. I'm like, okay, so who you voting for? Like, oh, I can't believe. They were just mad.
Right.
But they, like, a lot of people would leave comments like, oh, it's dumb and da-da-da-da. And then, you know, they created their Haitians for Trump, did all this celebration, had him in Little Haiti. And then now he's getting folks deported. So,
which is, it's a tough situation to be for people who are not necessarily educated all the way. Because remember, we've talked about it, but sometimes you just have to pick the better of two evils.
That's unfortunate. Is that's the way people saw it, and they just thought like, oh no, he's gonna get his jobs. We're gonna get jobs. We're gonna get jobs. I'm like, okay, if you believe, you're just taking what he says at face value, and that's what you think is gonna happen, and that's exactly what didn't happen. And he, you know, he's making sure. What he calls quote unquote immigrants are the first to go, are the first to get things taken away from them.
Karen, do you see yourself voting for, I already know the answer, but voting for Kanye West in 2024?
No.
You don't want Kanye politics at all?
I'm cool. He's muted on Twitter, but like, I'm cool.
Is there coming up, you know, you're at the 2018 midterm, so 2020 is going to be interesting, right? Because who's going to have a louder voice, right, than Donald Trump?
It's scary.
Yeah. I mean, whoever the person is, it's a lot of hard work in front of them. I know he's already campaigning and doing certain things, but like, hopefully he drops out.
That's not happening.
I don't know. He just gives me lazy vibes. Like, you see his schedule? It's like breakfast, lunch, like a
golf.
Yeah, quick meeting. It just be mad empty. And I'm like, what are you doing all day?
I think that's kind of the point, is that he's not really doing much but being allowed distraction so that other things are taking place behind the scenes as they maneuver this country to be even more for elites and the rich. And, you know, what's happening in Israel and what's happening with the Russian thing and what's happening with Brexit in London. Yeah. These are all elites and mostly white people, right? Not black and brown, that are maneuvering for the next generation to be in power.
Yeah.
And what the next generation power structure looks like. And many of us are powerless.
Yeah.
And with the midterm elections coming, and then you have young people who just don't even believe in the process. Then you have people who are confused about what to believe in or have short-term goals like, I just need a job tomorrow and can't even see next year or 4 years or next month.
It's just really better educating yourself. You know, now I hope people are using like their Wi-Fi wisely. You know, this is a time more than ever. It's just with the midterm elections coming and certain things happening, you're like, okay, let me find out what this person's about. Let me see if they align with like my necessary core values or what I think, you know, they can help move society or just America forward. It's just having that dialogue and conversation. The way we spend an hour on Twitter, we can spend that hour better educating ourselves.
What is the next big business? You're dealing with entrepreneurs on your new show on Complex. You really grabbed the blog digital business early. You got there early.
Yes.
And I believe when you left Hot 97, you went to like Beats by Dre or something. Wasn't that the first kind of step? Was like you were helping Beats by Dre with their branding and headphones and things like that?
Yeah. I went to Beats by Dre. I was their 12th employee. And it was basically working on their digital and kind of just went to everything. It was the way they thought I made Hillary cool. It was to make beats cool and just for people to familiarize themselves with it. It's not something just an artist has, but just anybody. It can be at any, like when you think of the cafeteria, it can live in any space, at the jock table, at the goth table, at the prissy table, just everywhere.
And so that was your transition then as a digital business for you. But if there's a young person now, you have a consulting business and you have this branding business, young person now trying to find their path and use social media.
Yeah.
There's so many businesses that it feels at a young person's fingertips now.
Yeah, it's definitely much easier. You have quicker access to things and you can learn things much faster. And then again, it's just using your Wi-Fi wisely. Now, I want to start, I don't know, in the eyelash business, you can look into like buying certain things in bulk, how you market this and that, how you do your XYZ, creating promo videos and everything else that goes into it. It's just, to me, it's a great time to be an entrepreneur. It's not costing, the cost is not as much, and you can straight invest into yourself. So it's just, to me, this is more than ever now. It's a wonderful time. They understand who we are as like just entrepreneurs, influencers. Before you had to be at a certain age. Now it's just, we're seeing millionaires at the age of 11, 10 years old.
So, I'm hating.
Yeah, there's YouTube stars that are racking millions.
Yeah, just play, there's stars who just, all they do is play video games.
Right. They found their niche, their audience.
You found your niche, you found your audience, you see what works for you, and it's just all about being organic.
Yeah.
I think tonight's episode for you on Complex, this is the Kevin Liles episode.
Yes. And it's interesting because if you saw like the promo, me and Kevin's face, he was like about to cry, and we're like, we're like, okay, you gonna play the music or not?
So this is gonna be weekly.
Yes.
What time does it air?
It's Wednesday on Complex on YouTube.com/Complex, but Wednesday at 11 a.m.
Okay, it goes
Eastern
live.
Standard Times. Yes.
And then you're gonna have you on from one of the co-founders, CMO of Stadium Goods, right?
Yes.
Which is awesome. And then you're gonna have
I have Ducky Confetti, the designer, the gentleman who created the restaurant chain with Nas.
Sweet John, that's our boy John Seymour. Sweet Chick,
John, Sweet Chick. Just really pushing entrepreneurship so they can really get that knowledge. Kalana Barfield Brown is on the show. So it's so many different people.
How do you feel working with Rosenberg? Because you guys both work for Complex now, so you guys are technically co-workers.
It's cool. I love Rosenberg. I was looking at the other day. I was like, why is everybody else? Because I look at Twitter late, like in the evening after my day is over. And I was like, why is everybody fake mad at Rosenberg?
Because he interviewed Bahad Bahabi.
Oh, yeah. I saw the little clip and I thought it was funny, the Seinfeld thing, because he didn't know what she was saying.
Yeah.
But I didn't, people are going to interview her.
No, I think it's because, and Rosenberg, we've talked about it. It's because Rosenberg is seen as this hip-hop purist.
Yes.
Right, so at first glance, you see him sitting down with this 14-year-old kid who's known just because she was mean to her mom, basically, on Dr. Phil.
And someone that we were really open about. Remember when they try to book her on the show?
Absolutely.
We were very open about, hell no, we are not supporting this fuckery.
What?
Yes, we were super open about it. We put it on social media.
I put up the letter where they sent it to me, and I was like, absolutely not. I'm not talking to her.
I understand why, there's certain things on the site I don't cover, but just being a platform like this, why doesn't it work for you?
It doesn't work for me because at the time, even right now,
there was no music at the time.
There was no music.
It was just this.
It was just
bad
noise.
The Cash Me Outside.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not talking to a 14-year-old who just says who has a bad attitude. What's that?
Yeah. Okay.
I'm a grown up. Go to your room. Shut up. Right.
Right.
Now I don't know her, and I don't believe her, and I don't care about the music.
Yeah.
So, and I don't interview every artist. There's a lot, like I'm trying to think of artists. Tekashi 6ix9ine, like I don't have nothing to talk to Tekashi 6ix9ine about, unless I'm talking to him about the fact that he was never really a gangbanger before the last couple years and the perpetuation of gang life, and that's not really who you are.
Yeah.
Or, but it's to sit down with someone and just talk about because you have one popular song is hard for me. Especially when you're only known for being a dickhead.
Yeah, it's no substance, I guess. But the time Rosenberg did that interview, I think she has music out.
Now she has music,
and she's nominated for a Billboard Award with Nicki Minaj.
But that was
and
why
Cardi
he
B.
did the interview.
Yes, Trina didn't put out music. Like there's other people who put out music. I don't even understand
that's why it was so bonkers. But on Rosenberg's,
it's the streaming numbers, YouTube views count into your Billboard number now.
All right, they got to change that and stop that, because it's like now it's all these like it's hard. It's all these like little kids who are coming and who are making these personas who just they perpetuate the stereotype of what they think urban culture is. Let me flash money. Let me do this. I got more thing, and they're just yelling into the camera, and it's just like it's just like it's weird. It's like society has accepted it. I don't.
Well, that's why I wouldn't interview Bahad Bahabi.
Okay. Well, he's not saying bad baby. He's like it's not spelled correctly. I'm cool.
Bahad Bahabi.
But okay, so the sad part is that it's exhausting for us to watch it because it's ridiculous, right? But then you look at the amount of people who embrace this fucking.
Yeah, I'm cool though. I'm cool.
Well,
I'm
this
cool.
This is a whole other piece of the convo, Karen, right? Which is right. I am this stage in what I do, which is a morning program.
Yes.
Right. I don't do content that is specifically just for the internet or internet clicks.
Yeah.
If it does well on the internet, awesome. If it doesn't, oh well. Right? I do a radio program.
Yeah.
Right? And it's on at 6 o'clock in the morning every day.
Yeah.
Where adults are in the car because they have to go to their job.
Yeah.
Okay? They are driving, they are getting on the train, they have responsibilities.
Yeah.
So to continually highlight teenage fuckery as if it has credibility for me is not only something I don't want to do, but I don't feel like it's necessarily important to my audience.
It's definitely
They might want to hear about it.
Yeah, like a quick blurb.
But to have a whole dialogue because you're a dickhead 19-year-old who's doing a bunch of drugs
I think even
and you have
younger,
tats on your face.
I think
I'm
even
good.
younger than that. But a reason, I have to pay my writers on my Karen Civil site. Like, so when they send content, I'm like, no, I'm not paying. Like, I don't want to post about this or whatever, because a lot of these kids don't have any substance and anything to them. They're like a 30-second, Instagram video or just a picture or whatever, just yelling and throwing some money and in a car. That works. That works for them or whatever. But when they actually have to go sit and have dialogue and a conversation, that's where it gets a little bit different. But I did watch the Rosenberg. I tried to watch the interview with him and the girl.
Bahad Bahabi.
I got 10 seconds into it and I didn't know what she was talking about. She couldn't even I don't ever want to disrespect her, but I just
child.
She couldn't articulate herself, and I guess she's still very young. And I'm like, damn, like you getting these label deals and all this stuff. Where's the A&R? Where's somebody like?
But see, you're looking at it through the other lens that it used to be. Now it's. Oh, you have Instagram followers.
You have 2 million followers.
You get streams. Let's make song. Even if you don't produce song, write song. We put you on song. Yeah. We pay you. Song gets streams.
But you still,
we make money.
you still have to groom an artist because they still have to go up and have the conversations.
You're looking at it. You're looking at it like they're trying to hope Bahad Bahabi becomes Lauryn Hill. That's not the thought. The thought is she's hot right now.
Yeah.
This is Walmart. We need to make sure when people walk in, they're gonna buy something impulse. It's trash. It's fast food. We're gonna make some money on it.
Yeah, we're definitely in a microwavable age.
Which is also why I don't want to stand next to it, because that also devalues what I love, which is hip hop. No, hip hop.
Yeah.
Rap music.
Yeah.
You're right. There's I like a turn up song and some ignorance here and there. It's fine. But I also like things that matter.
Yeah.
And if I'm gonna have a conversation with something and someone, hopefully it's gonna mostly be around things that matter or an interesting perspective.
Yeah. I definitely feel like these kids, the turnaround value is very high, but it's just coming so fast. Like I was watching an interview with somebody. I was like, I was trying to figure out who I was looking at. No offense, it was like, I didn't know if it was Uzi. I didn't even know it wasn't even Uzi. It was like somebody who looked like him, but it wasn't him.
One of Lil's.
Yeah, it was like one of the Lil's.
We just call him Lil Young Face Tap.
Yeah, so it gets to a point where you're like, I don't even know what I'm looking at. I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know if I'm getting old. I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, I was like, I'm not understanding.
Accept it.
Yeah, I'm not understanding it, but it's a thing where I'm okay with it. It's just everything is not for me.
The other piece is that.
Yeah.
The other piece is you have people who do what we do.
Yeah.
Who are constantly trying to figure out a way to stay relevant to a 17 or 18-year-old.
Yeah.
And so whatever they see is popular with a 17, 18-year-old, they're okay with it because it's popular.
Yeah.
Versus taking a stance of like, I'm not okay with that because I'm a fucking grown-up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Which I believe those 17 and 18-year-olds respect more in the long term because you actually stood for something and you weren't just okay with every willy-nilly thing that took place.
I just live by, I'm never stepping over $1 to pick up a nickel. So it's just short term, is not it for me. It's about longevity. And it's unfortunately a lot of these young kids, even their parents, are not really educating them on that. Like, okay, you got this girl a deal. What happens next? What happens after? Because we're going to get tired of it by the end of the year. It's going to be something else. It's going to be another little bad white kid who's, perpetuating this urban stereotype. So it's just like, what happens next for you? We've seen them kind of shuck and jive and go. So, I just wish these labels and certain things would better educate them. But again, this is why we have Good Looking Out. We're here to watch people glow and
That's
grow.
right.
There you go.
That's right.
And it's Wednesdays, Karen Civil Complex. Does it drop at a specific time?
Yes, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm really excited about it. I just want people to give me their feedback. But it's basically my version of, the young millennial Shark Tank.
I love it.
Love it.
Karen Civil, we love you.
Thank
Keep going.
you.
Give it up, Karen Civil, man.